theories turned into full-blown fake news narratives. Some blogs claim the rating embarrassed someone. Others claim it bruised an ego. A few even suggest that Kai's relationship was already under pressure, and this moment simply pushed everything over the edge. Again, these are claims, not confirmations, but in the world of internet drama, perception often matters more than proof. Friends stayed quiet, fans picked sides, reactions flooded in from every corner of social media. Some defended Kai, saying he was just being honest. Others accused him of switching energy. And in the middle of all this noise, one relationship quietly collapsed, leaving the internet to fill in the blanks. The question everyone keeps asking is simple but dangerous. Was it all just a coincidence, or did one small number spark a chain reaction no one could stop? Stay with us, because once you hear how these reports connect the dots, you'll understand why this story refuses to die. The reports say everything looked normal on the surface at first. Kai was still streaming, still joking with his chat, still reacting to music the same way he always had. But according to online chatter, something felt different in the weeks after that 6.5 rating clip started circulating. Fans noticed his tone changing. His energy seemed lower. Some people even pointed out that his laugh sounded forced, like he was trying to keep things together while something heavier was sitting on his chest. None of this was confirmed by Kai himself, but the internet has a habit of reading between every line, every pause, every facial expression. Sources close to the situation, at least according to gossip blogs and commentary pages, began suggesting that Kai's relationship was already under quiet pressure long before the public ever knew. The story being pushed online is that fame had started changing the dynamic. Kai was constantly live, constantly working, constantly expected to be on. His partner, according to these reports, wanted more presence, more reassurance, more time that wasn't shared with millions of viewers. Friends allegedly noticed tension during private moments that were never meant to become public discussion. Again, these are claims floating around, not statements from the people involved. But once they hit social media, they took on a life of their own. People started replaying old clips of Kai talking about balance, about how hard it was to manage relationships while being one of the most visible creators on the planet. Fans resurfaced moments where he joked about stress, about being tired, about feeling pulled in too many directions. At the time, those comments seemed harmless. Now, according to the narrative spreading online, they were warning signs. Emotions ran high as viewers began to say this breakup didn't happen overnight. They believe it was the result of pressure stacking on pressure, expectations stacking on expectations. Then came the theories connecting everything back to NBA YoungBoy. Some fans insist that the 6.5 rating wasn't just a number, but a symbolic moment. They argue that Kai's honesty placed him in an uncomfortable position between being a fan and being a critic. Blogs claim that once that clip went viral, Kai felt the heat from both sides. One side accused him of switching up, the other accused him of being fake. In the middle of that storm, his personal life allegedly took the hit. People online began saying that stress from the backlash followed him offline, into conversations
that were already tense. Commentary channels ran with dramatic language, saying Kai was caught between loyalty and truth. They painted scenes of late-night arguments, of phones lighting up with notifications while private conversations were happening in the background. Some even claimed there were disagreements about how much of Kai's life belonged to the internet and how much should stay protected. Fans are shocked at how deeply they feel connected to a relationship they never lived inside. But that's the power of parasocial culture, where audiences feel like they're part of every chapter. Friends of the couple, at least according to anonymous sources quoted in blogs, allegedly tried to mediate. They supposedly advised Kai to step back, to log off, to focus on his relationship before things reached a breaking point. Others are said to have told him that fame comes with sacrifices and that not everyone can handle the weight of it. None of these voices have been named. None of these conversations were recorded, but they're being repeated so often online that many people now treat them as truth. The tension, as the story goes, reached a moment where silence became louder than arguments. Kai allegedly stopped sharing personal details on stream. His partner appeared less frequently. Fans noticed the absence immediately. Comments flooded in asking where she was, whether everything was okay, whether rumors were true. Kai avoided the questions. That silence only fueled more speculation. Emotions ran high as people filled the gaps with their own assumptions, creating narratives that ranged from sympathetic to cruel. Some reports suggest that the pressure peaked during a private disagreement that had nothing to do with music on the surface, but everything to do with priorities. The story being pushed claims Kai was accused of choosing his audience over his relationship. Kai, according to these rumors, pushed back, saying his grind was the reason everything else existed in the first place. Whether this exchange ever happened is unknown, but it fits perfectly into the dramatic arc the internet loves to believe. Heated arguments, misunderstood intentions, and two people talking past each other while the world watched from outside. When Kai eventually posted that he was single, the internet exploded.
Fans are shocked not just by the announcement, but by the timing. They immediately tied it back to the album reaction, the backlash, the stress. Timelines were created, screenshots were shared. People claim the dots connected too perfectly to be random. Others argued it was unfair to blame a breakup on a rating. But once the idea was planted, it refused to go away. Comment sections turned into courtrooms. Some people defended Kai, saying honesty should never cost someone their peace. Others questioned whether fame had changed him. A few even speculated that external influences played a role, that new access and new circles brought new temptations and insecurities. Again, none of this was proven, but in the fake news ecosystem, proof often comes second to engagement. The family was left divided, at least according to dramatic retellings online. Some fans claim Kai's inner circle stood firmly behind him, believing he was overwhelmed and misunderstood. Others claim his partner's side felt ignored and pushed aside by a world that always put Kai first. Emotions ran high as each side found supporters willing to fight their battles in comment sections and reaction videos. What makes this story so sticky is not what we know, but what we don't. Kai never directly blamed anyone. He never confirmed the rumors. He never said the rating caused anything. But the absence of answers allowed the internet to write its own script, and once that script started spreading, it became nearly impossible to stop. People weren't just watching a breakup anymore. They were watching a narrative about fame, pressure, loyalty, and loss unfold in real time, one clip and one rumor at a time. As the rumors kept growing louder, the internet shifted from quiet speculation to full-blown storytelling. People were no longer asking if something happened, they were asking how and why it happened. Commentary pages started framing the situation like a slow-burning reality show episode, replaying old streams and freezing frames as if hidden meanings were waiting to be discovered. Fans dissected Kai's facial expressions, his pauses, the way his voice dipped whenever the topic of relationships came up. Emotions ran high as people felt like they were watching a man unravel in real time, even though no one could say for sure what was actually happening behind closed doors. According to circulating reports, Kai's inner circle allegedly began noticing changes in his behavior long before the breakup announcement. The narrative being pushed online claims that Kai was sleeping less, streaming longer, and pushing himself harder than usual. Friends supposedly warned him
that something had to give. They say his life had become a cycle of cameras, expectations, and constant performance. His relationship, according to these same unverified stories, was struggling to compete with the never-ending demand of being available to millions of people every day. Fans are shocked at how quickly admiration turned into pressure. Meanwhile, people online continued dragging NBA YoungBoy into the conversation, even though there was no confirmation of any direct involvement. The reports claimed that his name alone intensified everything. Once fans attached the idea of rivalry, revenge, or ego to the situation, the story exploded beyond control. Reaction channels began saying this wasn't just a breakup. This was a collision between two worlds. Streaming culture and hip-hop fandom colliding in a way that left real people dealing with imaginary storylines written by strangers. Some dramatic posts claimed Kai felt trapped between honesty and expectation. They suggested that rating the album truthfully placed him in a position where he couldn't win. If he praised it too much, people would accuse him of clout chasing. If he criticized it, fans would accuse him of betrayal. That pressure, according to online chatter, followed him into his personal life. The story being told is that arguments started feeling heavier because everything around them was already loud. Even small disagreements allegedly felt like breaking points. Fans started noticing changes on social media. Posts slowed down. Appearances together became rare. People screenshotted unfollows, likes disappearing, stories being deleted. Emotions ran high as every digital move was treated like evidence. Some fans claimed they saw sadness in Kai's eyes during streams. Others insisted he was fine and that people were projecting their own drama onto his life. But projection is exactly how fake news grows. Once enough people believe a version of events, it starts to feel real, even without proof. Commentary accounts painted scenes of late-night conversations filled with frustration. They imagined Kai explaining that his work was his identity, while his partner allegedly expressed feelings secondary to an audience she never asked to compete with. None of this was confirmed, but the emotional logic made sense to viewers. It sounded believable, and believability is all fake news needs to thrive. Fans are shocked by how easily they accepted these imagined moments as truth. The narrative kept escalating when Kai posted messages about feeling drained and needing space. People immediately connected those words to the breakup rumors. Some claimed he was emotionally exhausted, not just from work, but from defending himself against accusations that never stopped. Others believed he was processing guilt, regret, or heartbreak. Emotions ran high as viewers argued over which interpretation felt more authentic. The reality was that Kai never clarified, and that silence became the loudest part of the story.
People online began framing his relationship as a casualty of success. They said fame had slowly created distance, not because of betrayal, but because of imbalance. Kai was everywhere, always on, always visible. His private life, according to these reports, became something he had to squeeze into the cracks of a public schedule. That imbalance, fans claim, eventually broke the connection. Again, no confirmation, no statements, just a storyline repeated until it felt official. As this version of events spread, reactions from fans became more intense. Some rallied around Kai, calling him misunderstood and overwhelmed. They said he gave everything to entertain people and lost something important in return. Others criticized him, saying fame doesn't excuse neglect. They argued that relationships require presence, not just provision. The comment sections turned into emotional battlegrounds, where strangers fought over a relationship they were never part of. The family was left divided in the court of public opinion, even though none of them had spoken publicly. The involvement of music in the story made everything feel poetic and dramatic. They said it was ironic that something meant for entertainment became the spark for personal chaos. They claimed Kai's love for music, once a source of joy, turned into a source of stress. Every song reaction became loaded. Every opinion felt dangerous. Fans are shocked by how something so small could be inflated into something so heavy. Some blogs went even further, suggesting that Kai began questioning his own authenticity. They claimed he felt like no matter what he did, people would doubt his intentions. That kind of pressure, according to these stories, can make anyone withdraw emotionally. Viewers started saying his streams felt quieter, less playful, more guarded. Whether that was true or imagined, it fit the narrative people already believed. By this point, the fake news machine was fully activated. New details were
added daily. Anonymous sources spoke up. Timelines were revised. Screenshots were reinterpreted. The story no longer belonged to Kai or his former partner. It belonged to the internet. Emotions ran high because everyone felt entitled to an ending, a confession, a villain. But all they had were fragments and feelings. And while the world kept watching, Kai stayed mostly silent. That silence allowed the story to deepen, to grow more dramatic, more emotional, more convincing. People weren't just reacting to events anymore. They were reacting to a version of Kai they had built in their minds, a version shaped by fame, pressure, and heartbreak. Whether any of it was true didn't seem to matter anymore. The narrative had taken on a life of its own, and it was far from finished. As the narrative kept evolving, a new layer of drama began to surface across commentary channels and gossip pages. People were no longer satisfied with emotional theories alone. They wanted a turning point, a moment that symbolized when everything truly cracked. According to circulating stories, that moment wasn't loud or explosive. It was quiet, subtle, and deeply personal. Fans began claiming that Kai's emotional shift became undeniable during streams where he tried to laugh through fatigue. Viewers said his eyes told a different story than his words. Emotions ran high as supporters debated whether they were witnessing burnout, heartbreak, or both at the same time. Online discussions started framing Kai as someone trapped in a character he created to survive the spotlight. Some claimed he felt pressure to always be upbeat, always entertaining, even when his personal life felt unstable. Blogs described scenes of Kai ending streams late at night, allegedly sitting alone afterwards, replaying conversations in his head. Again, these moments were imagined, not confirmed, but they resonated with audiences who understood the cost of always being visible. Fans are shocked at how deeply they connected with a pain that was never explicitly shown. The story took another dramatic turn when people began analyzing Kai's statements about mental health. Older clips resurfaced where he talked about feeling overwhelmed, about losing motivation, about questioning his direction. At the time, those words seemed like casual honesty. Now, within the growing narrative, they were treated as clues. Commentators claimed these admissions lined up perfectly with the timeline of the breakup rumors. Emotions ran high as people said the relationship didn't end because of one argument, but because Kai was already emotionally stretched thin. At the same time, the internet continued to speculate about outside influences, not direct actions but presence, access, attention. Some fans claimed Kai's rising fame brought new energy into his orbit that made his partner uncomfortable. Others argued that jealousy wasn't about people, but about time. Kai belonged to the internet, and the internet never sleeps. Blogs painted emotional scenes where Kai allegedly tried to reassure his partner, while knowing he couldn't slow down. These imagined conversations fueled the idea that love alone couldn't compete with a lifestyle built on constant engagement.
Commentary channels leaned into dramatic language, saying Kai was fighting battles on multiple fronts. On one side, fans demanding authenticity. On the other, critics accusing him of switching up. And somewhere in between, a relationship struggling to survive the noise. The family was left divided in public perception, even though no family member ever spoke. Fans are shocked by how quickly strangers assigned blame without facts. The idea that the breakup was inevitable started gaining traction. People claimed that even without the album rating, the relationship would have faced challenges. The 6.5 in this version of the story became a symbol rather than a cause, a moment that represented Kai choosing honesty in one area of his life while losing stability in another. Emotions ran high as viewers debated whether success always demands sacrifice. Social media only made things worse. Every Kai post he liked or ignored became part of the narrative. Every absence was treated as confirmation. People speculated that Kai was avoiding questions because he didn't want to fuel the drama, while others believed silence meant guilt. Fake news thrives in silence, and this situation was no different. The lack of clear answers allowed imagination to fill every gap. Some reports claimed that Kai's closest friends encouraged him to take a break, to step back and protect his peace. They allegedly warned him that constant exposure was draining him emotionally. Others supposedly told him that addressing the rumors would only make them grow. According to this narrative, Kai chose distance over explanation. Fans are shocked by how that decision, meant to create calm, instead intensified curiosity. The emotional tone of the story shifted from sadness to sadness.
People stopped asking who was right and started asking whether Kai was okay. Clips of him talking about depression, about feeling lost, about watching anime to escape reality were replayed with new meaning. Commentators said these moments revealed a man trying to cope quietly while the world screamed around him. Emotions ran high as viewers related his words to their own struggles. Meanwhile, the relationship itself became a backdrop rather than the focus. Instead of two individuals, it was treated like a symbol of what fame can destroy. Blogs described the breakup as a lesson about balance, about how love can suffer when one partner lives under constant scrutiny. Whether fair or not, that framing turned Kai into a cautionary tale. Fans are shocked by how quickly admiration transformed into pity. The dramatic arc continued when people began speculating about Kai's future. Would he change his content? Would he slow down? Would he avoid reacting to music altogether? Some claimed he might pull back from sharing anything personal again. Others believed he would lean even harder into work to avoid dealing with loss. These predictions, though baseless, added another layer of suspense to the story. Through all of this, one thing remained consistent. No confirmation, no direct accusations, no clear villain. And yet, the internet treated the story as complete. People spoke about it as if they knew exactly what happened behind closed doors. Emotions ran high because the narrative felt emotionally true, even if it wasn't factually proven. By now, the fake news version of events had solidified. Kai wasn't just a streamer anymore. He was a character in a dramatic storyline about fame, honesty, and heartbreak. His relationship wasn't just a breakup, it was framed as collateral damage. And the 6.5 rating wasn't just an opinion, it became the opening scene in a story the internet refused to let end. By the time the story reached this point, it had fully transformed into something bigger than a breakup or a music reaction. It became a reflection of how the internet consumes people. Fans weren't just watching Kai anymore, they were projecting onto him. Every emotion he showed was magnified. Every silence was treated like a confession. Commentary pages began saying this was no longer about truth, but about timing. The idea spreading was that everything collided at the worst possible moment. Fame pressure, relationship strain, public expectations, and one viral clip all crashing together. Some online narratives suggested Kai reached a point where he felt misunderstood on every level. Supporters claimed he couldn't be honest without being accused of disrespect. Critics said he couldn't be successful without being accused of changing. That emotional tug-of-war, according to gossip discussions, left him isolated even while surrounded by millions of people. Fans are shocked at how lonely success can look when the cameras turn off. Blogs painted scenes of Kai questioning whether sharing his life publicly was worth the cost it came with privately. The breakup itself, as retold by the internet, was framed as quiet but heavy. No public argument, no exposed messages, just distance growing until it couldn't be ignored. People claimed the final conversation wasn't explosive but emotional. Words like exhausted, overwhelmed, and misunderstood were thrown around by anonymous sources. Again, none of this was confirmed, but it felt believable enough to spread. Emotions ran high as people imagined two people realizing they couldn't meet each other where they were anymore. Fans continued tying the ending back to that rating, not because it caused the breakup directly, but because it symbolized Kai choosing honesty over comfort. In the fake news version of events, that choice echoed through his life. It reminded people that being real in public often comes with private consequences. Commentary channels leaned into that idea, saying Kai learned the hard way that transparency has a price.
Fans are shocked by how a single moment can be turned into a symbol of loss. As weeks passed, the narrative softened. Outrage gave way to reflection. Instead of blaming individuals, people started blaming the system. The constant grind, the demand for access, the expectation that creators owe the audience every piece of themselves. Kai became a case study. Blogs wrote about how streaming culture doesn't leave room for vulnerability without punishment. Emotions ran high as viewers realized they had played a role in amplifying the pressure. Some fans expressed regret. They said they should have given him space instead of theories. Others doubled down, insisting public figures accept these consequences. That divide never closed. The family was left divided in perception, not reality, because the real people involved stayed quiet. Silence remained the only confirmed fact in a story full of noise. Kai's future was still uncertain in the narrative people created. Some
Believed he would come back stronger, more guarded, less personal. Others thought he might retreat, focusing on himself rather than feeding the internet. Blogs speculated about content changes, about reduced streaming hours, about a shift in energy. None of it was announced, none of it was confirmed, but speculation didn't slow down. What lingered most was the emotional residue. Viewers kept replaying his words about being depressed, about feeling lost despite success. Those clips became the emotional anchor of the story. Fans are shocked by how relatable those moments felt, even as they were used to fuel drama. The irony wasn't lost on some people. A man opens up about mental health, and the internet responds by dissecting his life even more. By now, the relationship itself was almost secondary. It became less about two people and more about what the breakup represented: sacrifice, imbalance, the cost of being visible. Kai's name trended not because of facts, but because of feelings. Emotions ran high because people saw pieces of themselves in the situation. Fear of losing love, fear of being misunderstood, fear of choosing one dream and watching another fade. In the end, the fake news narrative didn't offer closure. There was no clear villain, no dramatic confession, no final twist. Just a story shaped by assumptions and amplified by attention. Kai never said the rating caused anything. He never accused anyone, but the internet decided that correlation was enough. And once that decision was made, it became the story people remembered. What remains is a cautionary tale told through rumor and reaction, a reminder that in the age of constant content, personal moments rarely stay personal. Fans are shocked not because they know what happened, but because they recognize how easily stories like this are created. A number becomes a symbol, silence becomes evidence, and a private breakup becomes public entertainment. And so the narrative settles, not as truth, but as a mirror, reflecting how quickly admiration can turn into entitlement, how quickly curiosity can turn into judgment, and how easily the internet can turn a human moment into a dramatic saga that never truly belonged to it in the first place. Now that you've heard how these reports and online narratives came together, the real question is, what do you think is actually going on here? Was this just a coincidence that the internet turned into a storyline? Or do you believe the pressure, the timing, and that one viral moment really played a role in how everything unfolded? This is one of those situations where there are no clear answers, only perspectives, and everyone seems to be looking at the same pieces but forming completely different conclusions. If you've ever followed creators closely, you know how easy it is to forget that there are real people behind the screens. Relationships don't come with timelines, and breakups don't need a villain to be real. But once social media gets involved, every silence feels loud, and every rumor feels like a fact. That's why your opinion matters here. Do you think the internet crossed a line, or is this just the reality of living your life publicly? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let your voice be heard. Tell us whether you think this situation was blown out of proportion, or if the pressure from fans and headlines really can break something that was already fragile. Keep it respectful, keep it honest, and remember that speculation doesn't always equal truth. If you enjoyed this kind of deep dive into trending drama and online narratives, make sure you hit that like button because it helps this video reach more people who enjoy this type of commentary. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future stories where we break down viral moments, online rumors, and the bigger picture behind the headlines. And turn on notifications so you're always first to catch the next story when it drops. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Listen closely, because this story isn't about what definitely happened. It's about what the internet believes happened, what blogs are whispering, and why fans are connecting dots that may or may not even belong together. It all started with a number. Not a diss track, not a leaked DM, not a public argument, just a simple rating. A 6.5. One reaction clip, one moment on stream, and suddenly Cenat's personal life was under a microscope in a way nobody saw coming. Fans are shocked,
Timelines are being dissected, and social media is doing what it does best, turning coincidence into controversy. According to reports circulating online, Kai went from being one of NBA YoungBoy's loudest supporters to being at the center of a narrative nobody asked for. People are saying that after that infamous album reaction, things behind the scenes started to feel different. Not because of the music alone, but because of how fast the internet ran with it. One minute, Kai is vibing on stream. The next minute, he's posting that he's single, sounding exhausted, defeated, and emotionally drained. Emotions ran high across platforms as fans started asking the same question over and over again. Was this really just bad timing? Or did that 6.5 rating trigger something much bigger? Online commentators began stitching together clips, tweets, and moments that were never meant to be connected. Whispers turned into headlines, headlines turned into theories, and theories turned into full-blown fake news narratives. Some blogs claim the rating embarrassed someone, others claim it bruised an ego. A few even suggest that Kai's relationship was already under pressure, and this moment simply pushed everything over the edge. Again, these are claims, not confirmations, but in the world of internet drama, perception often matters more than proof. Friends stayed quiet, fans picked sides, reactions flooded in from every corner of social media. Some defended Kai, saying he was just being honest. Others accused him of switching energy. And in the middle of all this noise, one relationship quietly collapsed, leaving the internet to fill in the blanks. The question everyone keeps asking is simple but dangerous. Was it all just a coincidence? Or did one small number spark a chain reaction no one could stop? Stay with us, because once you hear how these reports connect the dots, you'll understand why this story refuses to die. The reports say everything looked normal on the surface at first. Kai was still streaming, still joking with his chat, still reacting to music the same way he always had. But according to online chatter, something felt different in the weeks after that 6.5 rating clip started circulating. Fans noticed his tone changing. His energy seemed lower. Some people even pointed out that his laugh sounded forced, like he was trying to keep things together while something heavier was sitting on his chest. None of this was confirmed by Kai himself, but the internet has a habit of reading between every line, every pause, every facial expression. Sources close to the situation, at least according to gossip blogs and commentary pages, began suggesting that Kai's relationship was already under quiet pressure long before the public ever knew. The story being pushed online is that fame had started changing the dynamic. Kai was constantly live, constantly working, constantly expected to be on. His partner, according to these reports, wanted more presence, more reassurance, more time that wasn't shared with millions of viewers. Friends allegedly noticed tension during private moments, moments that were never meant to become public discussion. Again, these are claims floating around, not statements from the people involved. But once they hit social media, they took on a life of their own. People started replaying old clips of Kai talking about balance, about how hard it was to manage relationships while being one of the most visible creators on the planet. Fans resurfaced moments where he joked about stress, about being tired, about feeling pulled in too many directions. At the time, those comments seemed harmless. Now, according to the narrative spreading online, they were warning signs. Emotions ran high as viewers began to say this breakup didn't happen overnight. They believe it was the result of pressure stacking on pressure, expectations stacking on expectations. Then came the theories connecting everything back to NBA YoungBoy. Some fans insist that the 6.5 rating wasn't just a number, but a symbolic moment. They argue that Kai's honesty placed him in an uncomfortable position between being a fan and being a critic. Blogs claim that once that clip went viral, Kai felt the heat from both sides. One side accused him of switching up, the other accused him of being fake. In the middle of that storm, his personal life allegedly took the hit. People online began saying that stress from the backlash followed him offline, into conversations
that were already tense. Commentary channels ran with dramatic language, saying Kai was caught between loyalty and truth. They painted scenes of late-night arguments, of phones lighting up with notifications while private conversations were happening in the background. Some even claimed there were disagreements about how much of Kai's life belonged to the internet and how much should stay protected. Fans are shocked at how deeply they feel connected to a relationship they never lived inside. But that's the power of parasocial culture, where audiences feel like they're part of every chapter. Friends of the couple, at least according to anonymous sources quoted in blogs, allegedly tried to mediate. They supposedly advised Kai to step back, to log off, to focus on his relationship before things reached a breaking point. Others are said to have told him that fame comes with sacrifices and that not everyone can handle the weight of it. None of these voices have been named. None of these conversations were recorded, but they're being repeated so often online that many people now treat them as